Control freaks are everywhere. How's it going, everybody? Didn't really have any intention of talking about control freaks. I grabbed the camera, sat down, tried to get the light adjusted because it's impossible to get a good video on this camera, and started talking about control freaks. It popped into my head because, and by the way, this is how I start a lot of my videos. You know, you may think that maybe I think of a subject beforehand and I ponder on it, and often, I'd say 3/4 of the time that's the case, but at least 1 out of 4 videos, when I sit down to make the video, it just pops into my head, and I think that that's what I enjoy about this. You know, spontaneous thinking. But anyhow, YouTube is a great place to talk about things, but I also end up rambling a lot, and so my apologies. I know some people don't mind, and others are like, get to the point. Just so you know, I don't have a point. My thoughts on control freaks, you know, really it wasn't the control freak that I was thinking about, but I've talked quite a bit about people trying to control others, and how, I guess my intention behind talking about it is to tell people to take their own power back, to have the power to say no to a spouse that is harming them physically or mentally, or to you know, walk away from a toxic situation. But I also have encountered people who are in those situations, and I know it's easier said than done. To tell a person, oh, just get away from your toxic spouse you've been with for 20 years or 40 years or whatever it might be. It's hard sometimes. People get entrenched in their lives, in their situations. It's kind of like walking away from a shitty job. People say, if you don't like your job, just quit. Come on, let's get real. If everybody did that, we'd be totally screwed. So you find a happy medium. You deal with the shit you have to deal with. Dealing with a shitty job or a shitty boss is one thing. You know, that's to make money. You're not, you know, responsible to these people emotionally in any way. But when it comes to family and friends, having pushy people around that want to tell you how to live your life is very toxic and damaging. And it's one of the things I've found that there's a few situations that I've found to avoid in life. And the reason I talk about it is because I want others to be able to utilize these tools as well. You know, I've had to leave a few toxic relationships, and I'm not talking about with women, I'm just saying, or with men really, but with friends or acquaintances that I've met, or people through other people who have just ended up being bad to be around. They get themselves in trouble. Maybe they get DUIs a few times, and you're like, don't want to ride in the car with this guy, that kind of thing. And people might, back then when we were younger, thought of it as maybe snotty, like, why don't you hang out with so-and-so, or why haven't you ever chilled with this guy or that guy? And I say, you know, I'm just protecting myself. You know, I've done dumb shit when I was a kid, but I don't want to put myself in harm's way just to be hanging out with the cool guys. The cool guys were always the guys that got in trouble. And I got myself in trouble too, but learned my lesson. So anyhow, being I guess for me anyway, being 6'2" and 175 pounds when I was, you know, after I grew and after my teen years, I wasn't exactly heavy. I was a scrawny ass guy, but I was tall, and so people left me alone. I didn't get into fights. Most people, even if they do want to fight me, because there is little guy syndrome, it's very real. And a lot of the small guys that I've encountered in my life have wanted, a lot of really short guys have wanted to fight me for one reason or another. It's really interesting. And so anyhow, I'm able to talk people down in those situations. I don't generally want to have a physical confrontation, altercation with anyone. If I'm forced into it, I would, but it's much easier to talk your way out. So anyhow, encountering people like that, I found that I don't have a lot of people trying to control me or tell me what to do. And with my family and with my friends, nobody's ever told me how to live my life. But when people do, it really bothers me. It really actually is one of the things I found myself attacking and striking back on YouTube, when people tell me, well, you shouldn't do this, or you should just quit smoking pot or quit drugs, or you should, you know, shouldn't live where you live, or shouldn't do what you do, or, you know, you're probably, you know, a shitty dad, or whatever it might be, even though I know it's not true and it's somebody else's projection, because 9 times out of 10 it's somebody else. If they're telling another how to live or what they should or shouldn't be doing, then they haven't found what they need to be doing in their own life, or they are so stuck and stubborn in their ways that, you know, they think everybody should be like them. But and this is very true in people who have, say, quit using substances and gone to treatment and got this mindset that anybody who uses anything is a complete loser, piece of shit. You know, society doesn't need these people. And I understand it's a coping mechanism for people who are still, you know, who had a problem and now want to make drugs the enemy, but also anybody who uses them. There's also people who will, I've had the people talk, I mean, I could point out a million ways that I've been judged, but I haven't been controlled, is the point. So control freaks that I've seen with other people, when they find a person that they can latch onto and tell what to do, they will. And sometimes I think, you know, God, I'm so glad that I'm not the kind of person who wants to lie to people or cheat or steal or screw anybody over. It just doesn't occur to me. I could never do it. I've never been able to cheat at a card game, or never wanted to. I wouldn't feel right if I was able to cheat and get away with something. Now, you know, everybody has their own level of values. You know, you say, well, what's cheating? Well, what if you could kind of screw the system and get a few $1,000,000? You know, I don't know what I would or wouldn't do. You know, or I should say, everyone has a price, and everyone's integrity can be compromised. But I'd like to think that my integrity couldn't be compromised for any amount, any dollar amount, to harm any other person. I would never let another person suffer so that I could gain, I guess is my point. And it just doesn't feel right. So when I see people trying to tell others what to do because they want to control the other people, you know, it really bothers me. And I think these people need to be put in their place. But what can I do? I'm just, you know, it's not my relationship, it's not my situation. So I make a video like this hoping to empower people who think that they have no choice. You are a human being. You have the ability to do so many different things. I'm not going to, you know, sit here and sugarcoat life and say you can do anything you want and you could be anyone you want and go be an astronaut, a super astronaut, cowboy, millionaire, whatever. You know, it doesn't matter. None of that shit matters. It's all in here. Whatever you do with your head. You know, it's up to you. You're going to have ups and downs. You're going to have good and bad moments. But overall, you want to be in control of your emotional intelligence. It's one of the most crucial things that we can learn in our lives. And finding a way to deal with the bullshit that we encounter is a very crucial aspect of maintaining sanity with all the bullshit. So, you know, if you have controlling people in your life, just maybe you're not even aware of it, you know, but I think anybody who feels uncomfortable around somebody else, you know, often it's not that the people are even, often the people mean well, you know. I guess I have encountered it, you know, with people, not that they are trying to control me, but rather telling me what I would be better off doing, and that's kind of a control situation too. A person says, you know, this worked for somebody and so, or it may have worked for me, so this is gonna work for you. And we know that there's no magic pill that fixes everything. It's just bullshit. So, metaphorically or literally, a lot of people think there's a literal pill that will fix all their mental problems too. But we don't even understand how mental illness works, and we still call it a disease. But it's not. It's a condition, and we all have it. We're all a little bit crazy, a little bit autistic, a little bit schizophrenic, a little bit of Tourette's, a little bit of this and that, and ADD and ADHD and all these stupid diagnoses. We all have, to one degree or another, a little bit of these things. And so, you know, being human is hard enough. Trying to figure out who we are. For some reason we have a low self-esteem, a lot of us. And if your self-esteem gets up too high, they get your ass kicked. It's like, you know, your wings melting off, getting, you know, flying too close to the sun. You know the old metaphors, the mythology. Don't let your arrogance get the best of you, or you'll fall. And so when we're told that, then we try to be humble, and we're told, well, the meek shall inherit the earth. And we're like, dude, that's total nonsense too. The meek just get stepped on, while the the monsters take what they want, and the rest of us are stuck in the middle. So, not letting people control you. My point being, I know I kind of went off track there, but the point of that was that being a human is hard enough without others interfering with what you are trying to figure out and making your self-esteem even worse by telling you that you're not good enough or you should be doing something else. Fuck those people. Fuck those people. I mean it. You know, it's like, the sad thing is that a lot of them mean well. And I'm not saying that every friend or family member who tells you to change is a complete shitball. And that's the end of the video.